problem. It's not my problem. I'm not people. I'm yeah. Morning, Joe.
Бесплатно. Бесплатно. Какое красивое и, к сожалению, уже практически забытое русское слово.
Альфа.
And to John's point about the president's closing message here in the final 2 weeks, you would think he'd be trying to expand a little bit, but boy, is he drilling down into the base. Yesterday, he spent the day attacking Dr. Anthony Fauci, saying he's a disaster, calling scientists idiots. He went after Joe Biden again at a rally, saying he should be locked up, and that if Bill Barr, his attorney general, were doing his job, or if he were someone else, that Joe Biden would have been locked up. And then here he is talking about the pandemic itself, something he's tried to wish away for 7 months, something he told Bob Woodward he's trying to downplay. Here's how he talked about it yesterday in Prescott, Arizona.
Pandemic. They're getting tired of the pandemic, aren't they? Getting tired of the pandemic. You turn on CNN, that's all they cover. COVID, pandemic, COVID. You know why? They're trying to talk everybody out of voting. People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards. They're not buying it. That's all they talk about. You know, Biden wants to lock it down. He wants to listen to Dr. Fauci.
And of course, Joe, the Biden campaign's immediately turning that into an ad. Yes, I do want to listen to Dr. Fauci. And yes,
Absolutely.
People are concerned about the coronavirus pandemic that's killed now, according to our tally at the bottom here, 221,000 people and reshaped the lives of almost every American.
And you know why Joe Biden has decided, hey, I'm going to go and do debate prep for a couple of days?
Yep.
Because he literally wants to
You're
cede
right.
the entire stage to Donald Trump. Because either Donald Trump is providing aid and comfort to terrorists who tried to kill a Michigan governor by attacking her and saying, well, I don't know, maybe she's claiming that.
So what's my age? That's few. They were few. Wait a second. Do I need a potato?
And he's saying some extraordinary things there. Or he's attacking Anthony Fauci.
Or he's saying he's going to leave.
And
He loses.
also for people that say, hey, I think I'm voting for Donald Trump because of my regulations, or it won't be as bad as they are under Joe Biden. He's enraged about the fact that his attorney general will not arrest his political opponent. So all of these people saying, oh, well, you know what, I just don't vote for Democrats. Oh, you know what, I'm just voting for him because of the regulations. Oh, he doesn't. Donald Trump, in the last 2 weeks of the campaign, is raging at his attorney general for not arresting his political opponent. If you're voting for Donald Trump, that's who you're voting for. And if you're voting for that man who 2 weeks from Election Day is calling for the arrest of his opponent, then you have absolutely no idea what America is about. Let me say it again. You have no idea what this country is about if you are supporting a man who 2 weeks out is calling for the arrest of his opponent. You can't explain that away. You can't explain that away to history. You can't explain that away to your children or grandchildren. You just can't. And you can't plead ignorance because you know better. Let me say it one more time. Donald Trump, the man who said that Article 2 gave him power to do whatever he wanted to do. Donald Trump, the same man who constantly undermines the judiciary and judges' independence, the same man who calls the media, the free press, that Stalinist slur, enemies of the people. He's now yelling at his attorney general for not arresting his opponent. Take a listen to this.
Every day you wake up, where's Biden today? Sir, he's lit it out. He's lit it out. What does that mean? That means he's going to stay in the basement all day. But I think today he's staying in the basement to talk to his lawyers. They caught him cold. They caught him cold. He is lucky that we have in our country, and they don't appreciate, a wonderful human being and the most fair,
Я свой бред постоянно приушу. Ладно,
Attorney General of the United States, because I know people that would have had him locked up 5 weeks ago. Bill Barr is a very nice man and a very fair man, and they have no idea because somebody else would have taken that thing and all the crap and corruption. He's been a corrupt politician for a long time, this guy.
The campaign strategy seems to be to call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught, read his laptop, and you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it. Good luck, everybody. Have a good time.
So let's get this straight. So you have a president, Mika, who calls his opponent a criminal and is calling for his arrest, and now is actually, I know because he's called for my arrest several times.
We've been there.
Now he's calling for Jeff Mason arrest, calling him a criminal because he's not calling for the arrest. I mean, this is what is being fought in Belarus. Donald Trump is a strong man, a very weak strong man, but he's trying to be a strong man. And again, how anybody could vote for him, I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care what your regulations are. I mean, 2 weeks out, saying that his opponent should be arrested. It is beyond the pale. It is un-American. There's no other way to put it.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from.
Quand j'ai commencé à enseigner, il y avait environ 50 étudiants dans mon groupe, puis je me souviens que des professeurs d'expérience me disaient Quand j'ai commencé à enseigner, il y avait environ 50 étudiants dans mon groupe, puis je me souviens que des professeurs d'expérience me disaient 50, c'est rendu gros comme groupe, qu'il fallait déjà commencer à s'adapter à ce changement-là. Mais dès les sessions suivantes, le groupe a augmenté, passe à 75, à 100, à 150, 175. Mais je me suis vraiment rendu compte que le plaisir d'enseigner, que la capacité de susciter la curiosité des étudiants, puis aussi leur participation, ça va au-delà de la taille des groupes.
Dans un grand groupe, on a l'impression qu'on va moins se faire remarquer si on fait autre chose qu'écouter ou si je regarde mon cellulaire ou si je parle à quelqu'un. On a l'impression, mais dans le fond, le monde, ça dérange quand même les gens.
Donc, un beau défi en enseignement, c'est de réussir à capter l'attention des étudiants, mais surtout à le maintenir. On a cette responsabilité de réfléchir à comment on va créer un environnement qui est propice au partage, à quelle stratégie pédagogique qu'on peut utiliser avec des grands groupes. Alors, je vais utiliser des exemples percutants qui suscitent une émotion, mais vraiment dans le but d'illustrer la théorie. On va partir d'une photo pour discuter. Des fois, ça va être des exercices individuels ou en équipe. Il va y avoir un retour en groupe par la suite. Donc, vraiment, c'est d'essayer de diversifier les stratégies qu'on va utiliser. Mais il y a aussi
Бесплатно. Без
Dans cette présentation, je souhaite
staggering statistic.
A sobering reminder that even as this quarantine fatigue sets in and we're all getting sick of this, that we really do all need to be vigilant. Thanks so much, Tom.
Yep.
Drug companies are working around the clock trying to develop a coronavirus vaccine, but fewer Americans say they'll get it once it's approved. A new Stat Harris poll shows only 58% of people surveyed would get a vaccine. That's down from the same poll taken in August when 69% said they would get a vaccine. Dr. Stephen McDonald joins us now. He's an emergency medicine physician in New York City. Doctor, good to see you. So what do you make of those numbers? Fewer Americans saying that they'll get the vaccine. Does this concern you?
Absolutely. As we get further into this process, we're actually seeing the vaccine development process become more politicized. And when you look at the Stat Harris poll and break it down by race, you actually see this discrepancy is worst among Black and brown individuals. And so that's very concerning. These are communities that were hit the hardest by coronavirus and the ones that need a vaccine most.
How do you then convince people to try and take the new vaccine?
It's a difficult question. We need our companies developing vaccines to be doing very targeted outreach. We also need doctors of every specialty, every color, to be reaching out to their Black and brown patients, saying, alerting them of these trials and encouraging them to participate. I think people are a lot more likely to join a trial if their physician who they know or a physician they're interacting with encourages them to do so, as opposed to an anonymous drug maker.
Yeah, that connection with your doctor can always make a difference. While we have you here, I want to ask you about some news out of the UK. British researchers will be moving forward with the first human challenge study for COVID-19. This means healthy people will be infected with the virus in a controlled setting. So what could we learn from this study?
Sure. So this is a big deal. You know, normally in phase 3 trials, you have drug makers administering a vaccine, sending people out into the general public, and you don't really know if the vaccine is working or not because it really depends on if those people are living lives or they're exposed. In this type of trial, people are deliberately exposed, so you know that they have the possibility for infection. You get really good data on whether the vaccines are working or not. That said, we'll have vaccines probably by the end of this year, early next year, and this trial is not slated to begin until 2021. So we'll have a bit of time before we have some data on the efficacy of these vaccines.
I was about to say this, for people who are wondering and hoping a vaccine comes soon, a study like this, does it have any impact on that timeline for a vaccine?
It will help us determine what the best vaccine is more quickly, but the first vaccines will probably predate any data coming out of this trial.
Dr. McDonald, thank you so much for your expertise. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's exactly 2 weeks until Election Day, and candidates are preparing for a final presidential debate. Thursday's event will feature a new format, including muted microphones for some portions of the discussion. NBC News White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now. All right, Peter, tell us more about these new debate changes and what our friend and your Saturday Today co-anchor Kristen Welker is going to be dealing with.
Yeah, no, we got a big night ahead on Thursday. So 2 weeks to go till the election, just 2 days until that final debate. This is really the last best chance for both of these candidates to try to make their case to tens of millions of voters. And the Commission on Presidential Debates, as you note, now says it will mute one microphone or the other during parts of the debate to try to make sure both President Trump and Joe Biden stick to already agreed upon rules, an effort the Commission says to advance civil discourse.
Number two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
After that first presidential debate debacle.
Answer that
because
question.
the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen.
Overnight, the Commission on Presidential Debates announcing a new plan for this Thursday's final matchup. To enforce the rule that each candidate gets 2 minutes of uninterrupted time at the beginning of all 6 debate segments, they plan to mute the other candidate's microphone. Then, for the balance of each segment, which by design is intended to be dedicated to open discussion, the Commission says, both candidates' microphones will be open. The Trump campaign releasing a statement overnight, saying in part President Trump is committed to debating Joe Biden regardless of last-minute rule changes, calling the Commission biased and accusing it of favoring Biden. Also this morning, with coronavirus cases surging again, President Trump's unloading on the nation's top infectious disease expert, trashing Dr. Anthony Fauci in a conference call.
People are tired of hearing Fauci and all these idiots, these people that have gotten it wrong. Every time he goes on television, there's always a bomb, but there's a bigger bomb if you fire him. But Fauci's a disaster.
Fauci weighing in on Monday.
It's like in The Godfather, nothing personal, strictly business, as far as I'm concerned.
It comes after he opened up about threats against him and his family on 60 Minutes.
A public health message to save lives triggers such venom and animosity to me that it results in real and credible threats to my life and my safety.
Have there been death threats against you and your family?
The president later on the trail in Arizona.
Hello, Prescott. Hello, Prescott. I better speak fast. This sun is hot.
Tying Fauci to Biden.
He wants to listen to Dr. Fauci.
Biden firing back in a statement saying that's not an attack, that's a badge of honor. Adding, Mr. President, you're right. Back in a statement saying that's not an attack, that's a badge of honor. Adding, Mr. President, you're right about one thing. The American people are tired. They're tired of your lies about this virus. Biden is off the trail most of this week preparing for Thursday's debate. His running mate Kamala Harris in Florida looking to help flip the state for Democrats.
You guys are going to determine the outcome of this election. I'm sure of it.
And bashing President Trump's handling of the pandemic.
This man had an opportunity to deal with, but denied fact, denied science, and lied to the American people.
All right, Peter, it's only 2 days away until this last presidential debate. We know that Trump has a packed schedule this week on the campaign trail. We know Biden's in his home state preparing. What do we know about what they both are doing to prepare?
Yes, Savannah, two different strategies, right? The former Vice President Joe Biden taking a more traditional approach, I think you'd say. He's off the campaign trail while he prepares for that final debate on Thursday night. For the president, he told reporters yesterday that taking questions from them was his debate prep. He's got a busy schedule, as you note. He keeps traveling, heading to Pennsylvania and North Carolina for a pair of rallies over the next couple of days. Savannah.
Peter, thanks so much.
Today is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's deadline to strike a deal if lawmakers want to pass a coronavirus stimulus bill by Election Day. She and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin are narrowing their differences, according to her spokesman, and staff will continue to work around the clock to get it done. Author of the Politico Playbook, Anna Palmer, joins us now. Anna, good to see you again. So it has been more than 90 days of negotiations on this next round of stimulus. Families are struggling. Businesses are waiting anxiously to hear if they're going to get any help. I know we seem to ask this question almost daily, but what are the chances of getting to an agreement today?
It's going to be interesting to see what actually happens today. We're in day 91 of the talks between the Speaker and Secretary Mnuchin. They have made some progress, certainly, but there are big differences that they still have to overcome in terms of the overall price tag, but also in terms of the actual legislative drafting. And even if they do come to an agreement, we have already heard from Senate Republicans who are very skeptical about the price tag, as well as the fact that they believe that Secretary Mnuchin isn't necessarily working in their best interest, but just wants to come to a deal.
So President Trump is packing his rallies in his schedule. We know he'd love to do even more rallies. Is that an effective campaign strategy, especially with all the concerns around coronavirus transmission in the crowds?
I think there's a debate among whether it's appropriate for big crowds to gather. Certainly, we often see the president does these rallies at airports and his supporters are not wearing masks at all. I think it's particularly concerning when you look at some of the states, as you were reporting on earlier, North Dakota and others that are having a huge surge. But I think this is what the president likes to do. He gets energy off of it. It focuses him in terms of where he wants to be. And certainly in a lot of states that he's trailing in the polls, this is the one way that they think they can make up the difference when they have been outspent so largely by Joe Biden's campaign at this point.
And Anna, Vice President Pence held two rallies yesterday. One was in Maine, another in Pennsylvania. Here he is on WABI in Maine yesterday talking about mail-in voting.
President Trump and I fully support absentee ballot voting. Let me be clear. We want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And we believe that in-person voting in any circumstance, absentee ballot voting is time-honored. We're confident in it. But we've had a number of victories in courts around the country as we've been standing for the principle of one person, one vote.
All right, in Pennsylvania, the legal challenge to the deadline for counting mail-in ballots just made it all the way to the Supreme Court. They could be counted 3 days after. To say the issue of absentee or mail-in ballots has been contentious this election cycle would, I guess, be an understatement, wouldn't it?
Indeed. It's something that we actually have not seen a lot before. Absentee ballots are something that are commonplace in many states, and clearly because of the pandemic and the need for a lot of Americans, particularly older Americans, to not necessarily risk their health. This is something that a lot of Republicans and Democrats have pushed for. The Trump administration, the president in particular, has tried to cast aspersions and say...
Vous amener à prendre en considération deux principes importants en enseignement. D'abord, l'importance de varier les formules pédagogiques que vous utilisez et ensuite l'importance de mettre les élèves en action le plus souvent possible. Tout ça vous permettra de favoriser leurs apprentissages. Pour ce faire, nous allons étudier la pyramide de l'apprentissage. Cette pyramide illustre le taux de rétention de l'information, c'est-à-dire ce que notre cerveau conserve en mémoire suite à différentes activités d'apprentissage. On y voit qu'un élève retient en moyenne 5 à 10 % d'informations d'un cours magistral ou d'une lecture qu'il a fait. On y voit aussi qu'il retient de 20 à 30 % de l'information lorsqu'on lui présente une vidéo ou qu'on lui fait une démonstration. Et finalement, qu'il retient 50 à 90 % lorsqu'il discute avec ses collègues, qu'il met en pratique les enseignements ou qu'on lui demande d'enseigner les concepts à ses collègues. Mais pourquoi en est-il ainsi? On remarque que dans le cas du cours magistral et de la lecture, l'élève est en mode réception verbale uniquement. Donc, il y a un seul mode de réception. Dans le cas du document audiovisuel ou de la démonstration, on a deux modes de réception. Toujours le mode de réception verbale, mais on ajoute à ça une réception visuelle. Dans le cadre de la discussion, de la pratique et de l'enseignement, non seulement l'élève est en mode réception, verbale et visuelle, mais il est aussi en mode action. Ainsi, dans la première partie de la pyramide, l'élève est passif. Il est uniquement en mode réception. Alors que dans la deuxième partie de la pyramide, l'élève est en mode actif. Il reçoit de l'information, doit la traiter, faire des liens et produire quelque
Ладно. Какое красивое и, к сожалению, уже практически забытое русское слово.
Альфа-карта MasterCard бесплатная навсегда. Кэшбэк до 2% на все. Оформите.
America is now roughly 2 weeks away from deciding a